This week, in our series of political profiles, we're sitting down with former Montgomery County executive and now candidate, Doug Duncan. Welcome, Mr. Duncan.
Casey, great to be here with you. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. One of the things that we are trying to do in this profile series is to allow Montgomery County voters an opportunity to get to know those who are seeking public office. But you're hardly an unknown commodity. In fact, you served as county executive for 3 terms from 1994 to 2006. Now, in your announcement to run this time, you're quoted as saying, "I'm running for county executive because we need to make Montgomery County work." What's broken and what do you think needs to be fixed?
Well, we need to get Montgomery County moving again, and we used to be a leader in so many things, and I think we're slipping in a lot of different areas. And we need a county executive who's going to provide stronger leadership to get things done in the county, such as fixing the Silver Spring Transit Center. We need a county executive who's going to provide stronger leadership in fighting for our interests in Annapolis, such as getting us more money for school construction instead of deferring to Baltimore City and other communities. And we need a county executive with the right vision for our future, looking at the innovation economy, trying to make sure that we've got the right economic growth here to help support our schools, which are our top priority, and make sure that we can continue to provide a world-class education.
Well, but the county executive doesn't act alone. There's a county council. So has the county council been a help or has it been a problem? And
well, I think what we've seen over the last 8 years is a lot of bickering. And we've got the county council fighting the school board, sort of threatening to sue each other. We've got the county executive not helping out with that. And then they're all fighting the state delegation. And that doesn't work. I mean, I learned if you want to get more money from Annapolis, if you want to be more effective in Annapolis, you need to go there with a unified voice. And Annapolis loves it when Montgomery County fights each other because it means they can then spend that money elsewhere. And we've seen that with school construction, we've seen it with transportation money, we've seen it with teacher pensions, we've seen a lot of setbacks that we've had over the last 8 years in Annapolis. And every dollar that we lose in Annapolis means another dollar that we're going to have to raise back here to pay for these services.
But isn't one of the problems that we have here in Montgomery County that we don't have a strong, robust two-party system here, and that those who vote in the primaries are the ones who make the decisions? And frankly, we have an abysmal record of primary voters coming out. It was less than 20% in the last election.
Two-party politics is always healthier. You need an opposition party to keep people honest, to keep people, to make people defend their ideas and their programs and policies. And I think that's very important for democracy. We don't have as much of that, or we actually have very little of that here in Montgomery County and in the state of Maryland. So we've got to make sure that we have that debate within the Democratic Party, which is why we should have contested primaries, which it will increase the turnout on Election Day. And hopefully we will do better with our primary voters. I think some other states are looking at this issue, making changes to how they conduct their primary elections to try to increase turnout, and Maryland needs to do something similar.
Well, there are those that say that the special interests in the primaries are too strong, like the teachers union, that they have too much sway over how the election is kind of conducted and focused.
Well, we've got very educated voters here in the county, and I think that's something I'm very proud of. They take time to study the candidates, study the issues, and make decisions based on that. And they have really provided good leadership over the years for where we need to take this county. And I'm counting on that this time, that the voters will say we need a change in leadership, we need stronger leadership, we need somebody who's going to defend our interests in Annapolis, who's going to get things done here, improve our schools, get the Silver Spring Transit Center open, get the economy growing. We're in a jobless recovery right now in the county. Since 2007, we've only added 11,000 jobs in this county, much worse than Fairfax County, Washington, D.C., Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, and Howard County. Even Howard County has grown more jobs than we have since before the recession.
Well, that's one of the issues that we talk about constantly, is the comparison that we have, whether or not Montgomery County is a business-friendly environment. How do you promote that business-friendly environment?
Well, there are two things that need to happen. The state of Maryland's tax structure is not competitive with Virginia, so the new governor is going to have to fix that and work with the legislature to fix that. But here in Montgomery County, we've got a tax structure, regulatory structure. We've got a county bureaucracy that is not business-friendly either. And we've got to find ways to fix the Department of Permitting Services, to fix the Department of Economic Development, to focus on creating startup companies here in this county that will then grow and provide the job growth that we need for the future.
Well, I'm glad you touched on that, because in my day job, I'm a real estate lawyer. And one of the problems that I see constantly is getting park and planning and the permitting department on the same page. There's so many regulations that even a simple subdivision of a lot can take up to a year.
Which is why when I was executive before, we created the Department of Permitting Services to streamline that whole process, to put case managers in to help people get their applications through. What's happened in the last 8 years is that department has basically become dysfunctional. It has cost too much. It's not working. It's not working in a timely fashion. It needs a major shakeup. And the Department of Economic Development needs a major shakeup as well. They need to get back focusing on customer service, helping the small businesses in the county, and instead of evicting 38 biotech startups from an incubator in the county, they need to find ways to help the startup community and create more startup space in this county.
Well, one of the problems that I think you might encounter if you're successful in your quest is the state government keeps putting on additional mandates and additional requirements that businesses have to operate by. The change in the stormwater management system over the last 10 years has been an enormous burden on businesses here in Montgomery County. We have a rain tax that's an enormous burden. Those are things that you really don't have much control over.
Well, what's happened with the state, and they put a lot of burdens on local government as well. I mean, the state has balanced their budget. They've gotten through the recession by raising taxes, by getting the federal infrastructure money, and by passing costs on to the local governments. And we are losing about $100 million a year from the state of Maryland that we had been getting as aid that we now have to cover those costs ourselves. That's $1 billion over 10 years. That's a lot of money, and that's why we need someone who's going to fight for our interests in Annapolis, as opposed to saying that we have to wait to ask for school construction money, as the current county leadership has said, until Baltimore City gets everything they need for school construction. That's just wrong. We should fight for our children as hard as anybody else in the state.
I mean, you would think with the prominent politicians that we have from Montgomery County who are in the comptroller's office, who are in the Attorney General's office, that Montgomery County would start getting more fair treatment. I mean, we have long felt like we're the second-class citizen of the state, even though we're the most we're contributing more than any other county.
We're the biggest jurisdiction in the state. We give more money to the state than anyone else, and we get back very little in return. And we'll never get back dollar for dollar because of the need-based state aid formulas, but we should be getting back more. But when our current county leaders, including my two opponents in the primary, let the governor get away with promising $55 million for school construction in 2007 and yet only delivering $46 million, and instead of screaming about it, they thanked him for his generosity. And then when the city of Baltimore got $600 million extra for school construction last session, and we got a gas tax increase instead, that's a real problem for us. We need to find ways to bring dollars home. And the old thing is that Montgomery County gets a tax increase, everybody else gets state dollars. Well, we need to get state dollars back to our community, but you're not going to get it with this current county policy of saying Baltimore first for school construction, then everybody else later.
Well, that was a great way to wrap it up. I was going to give you 30 seconds to get out your last message, but you encapsulated, I think, everything you're trying to accomplish right then and there.
Great.
So I want to thank you for being here, and I know that all of our viewers will appreciate this. We're aired 6 times during the week, so they'll have lots of opportunities to find out what your message is.
Great, Casey. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.